Hello, recyclers, and welcome to another edition of our podcast, Recycle, Don't Be a Waster. In today's episode, because it is coming up to a federal election here in Australia, we want to, we're on the campaign trail and we are pushing the numbers and talking about saving money and every cent counts and all that things, just like your favourite or least favourite politician, shall we say. So in today's episode we want to discuss, it's something that a lot of waste companies, a lot of recycling companies, a lot of the media talk about, that recycling can save you money for businesses. And pretty much we'll focus on businesses, commercial enterprises in this context, but the argument is that recycling can save you money. So that's what we will discuss today. If you say, will recycling save you money, you have to start somewhere, and where you start from is a standard business, let's just say a cafe, and that business recycles nothing. It has no waste management or recycling plan in this, alternate reality in which we live, because realistically, nearly everybody recycles something. But let's just assume that this is coming from the dark ages, and that everything goes in the red general waste bin, and nothing gets recycled. So let's look at that and see can we save money, and then apply that to the wider industry, wider examples of business. So fundamentally, the answer is yes. The answer is yes, recycling, up to a point, will save you money. It's like anything else. Don't people talk about the 80-20 rule, that 80% of benefits come from 20% of effort and all those sort of things? Some people even say 90-10. But is that the Pareto principle? I can't remember. But it's something along those lines. And in this instance, the low-hanging fruit, we are using political jargon today, so be aware. The low-hanging fruit, the easier implementable services can really save you money. So let's just take a cafe. It's getting, let's just use standard numbers. It's getting 2 meters of waste, general waste, picked up every week. And that's costing, let's say, $100. So, and that's a standard enough price, roughly, in, say, somewhere like Sydney. Other states can be a bit cheaper. Brisbane's a bit cheaper based on landfill levies, etc. But in this context, we'll talk about Sydney, because with a heavier, larger landfill levy that other cities, like capital cities, Melbourne, Adelaide, will likely see in the future, that this story will become more like Sydney than what Brisbane has been like. So, first step, can you save money? Yes, you certainly can, by simply bringing in something such as a cardboard bin service. If we're saying that a metre of waste in Sydney for the cafe costs $50 a metre, you could probably get the same size of cardboard bin for maybe $10 a metre. So if you had significant amounts of cardboard, as nearly all businesses do, packaging, etc., you put in a cardboard bin service, that will certainly save you money. And then in an ideal world, you might have 1 metre of waste and 1 metre of cardboard, and your price, your cost would drop from $100 down to $60. So that's, I think, in any waste management plan, we always suggest cardboard as a first position. In other businesses, you would have other waste that potentially you might even get money back for. Certainly metal, items like steel, copper, those sort of metals can be extremely valuable. And you would really, certainly if in large quantities or clean quantities, and you would want to go to a metal recycler, which will be available in every city, and you probably get paid a rebate based on the weight and the quality of what you're dropping off. So ignoring those sort of things, you also actually, interestingly, may get a rebate for large amounts of e-waste. If you had large amounts of, computers or stuff of that nature, modern TV sets, you again may receive a rebate if you transport it to the facility. So just thought I'd point those out because they are interesting. So back to the cafe example. If you've done your cardboard, then yes, what else will a cafe be producing? Chances are there'll be milk bottles, there'll be cans of tomatoes, there'll be cans of different substances. If you're serving alcohol, you may have cans of beer bottles, wine bottles, those sort of things. And so again, a commingled service will certainly save you money. Commingled, which is the yellow bin, the price tends to be between the cardboard and the general waste. So let's assume rather than, if general waste is $50, cardboard is 10, and these are indicative prices, but the ratios are roughly correct. Then your commingled could be between 25 and 30. So again, if you can reduce that general waste service and implement commingled, you again will save money. So this is where it gets to, and then we're getting to where the question gets a bit more complicated. Up to this point, yes, you certainly can save money, but I think once you go beyond this, what you're looking at is aspects such as, do you look at a food waste bin? Because let's assume this cafe has food scraps, food waste, coffee grounds, these sort of things. At this point in time, you're looking really at a food waste bin, which in many regards, you can argue it would be break even. I think at best it probably would be break even, but with that break even cost basis, because food waste bins are reasonably expensive, with that, obviously there are environmental benefits, but from a purely cost, cold hard cash approach, it's break even. You could, and you also would have to factor in the effort that you're putting into it, in separating that waste, having management systems in place in your kitchens so that staff know what material to put in which bin, likely posters, a little bit of education, those sort of things. So it is getting to the position at that point where it is more difficult. So I think, like in general, can recycling save you money? Yes, it can. Is it to a position where it can reduce your cost for waste management, to zero? At this point in time, no. Like in 2022, that is not possible, given where we are. And I think this is something that we touched on in a previous episode about waste levies. The argument for a waste levy that artificially increases the price for general waste, anything that's dumped at landfill, like the argument was there that it would do two things. It would incentivize you to recycle by making recycling services relatively, not absolutely, but relatively cheaper than general waste. And yes, that is true for cardboard and commingled. And then the second argument was that it would take money, bring that money and make it, that is collected, the millions and millions of dollars collected from the landfill levy, and then it would build new facilities, etc., to enable you to recycle, to make it cheaper, to enable you to, recycle your food waste or whatever it is, like nappy waste or any niche or harder to recycle substance. I think what we looked at in a previous episode was that really that hasn't happened. A lot of this money, this tax money, is raised by government and it's spent on things that are completely unrelated to waste or recycling. And so we're left in a scenario where small business, cafes, restaurants, childcare centres, offices, whatever it is, shops, they tend to be paying tax, really what is a hidden tax, in the form of levies, and they don't really have an option to escape it. So, like my view personally is, if you can't escape a levy by doing something else, then in reality it's just a tax, and it's a tax on doing business. So I think that's where we are. Recycling certainly will minimise that aspect due to the levy, the impact of the levy. Relatively, you'll save money by making certain choices, by recycling cardboard and paper, metal, and commingled recycling. But it does then reach, the cost and the benefits sort of reach a point where it becomes cost neutral, let's say, to do any more. And I suppose for our society to really move beyond where we are, I think that cost benefit analysis has to change, and it has to become more beneficial to recycle and less costly, so that we push that wherever we are on the X and Y axis, we push them further out, so that we go from recycling X% to to doubling that performance. So there we are today. There are many ways you can reduce your waste, home composting, worm farms, all these sort of things. But I think what is important to note with these, there's an old saying that time is money, and all of these things will take time. I really believe that for us to make real headway in recycling, we need to make it easy, make it as super easy as possible for people, for employees, for managers, for business, for residents. And when it is cost effective, cheaper, and easier, people will do what we hope they do. They'll do the right thing. We've all talked about nudging, I'll be honest, through COVID, I think we've all had enough nudging to last a lifetime. But I think at the minute we're probably being nudged into doing the wrong thing due to cost and different aspects of recycling. So I think in some aspect we need to change the messaging around that and make it beneficial to people to recycle more. So we'll leave it there today. Once again, have a great week. We're coming up to the Easter long holiday, so have a great Easter, and we'll see you next week. Recycle, don't be a waster.